Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Women Advanced Bible Study night, Thursday, the 12th of September, 2024. And the subject inside the room is, inside the class is the first king of Esau and his connection to Mount Hermon. We're gonna watch that video and then we're gonna break it down and connect it to scriptures. To the Jasher and the other books, and also to the King James. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. We have over 1,000 or so videos that you can look at or review. Check them out. You get the meat out of it. And if you like what you're hearing and receiving from these videos, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Okay, hours of operation that we are live is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night from 7 to 9 Central Time. We on live, and then on Friday nights we have our Men's Advanced Bible Study night, and that's on Prophets of Awakening. That's on Clubhouse. Excuse me, Clubhouse, and the room title of the room is Non-Masonic Conversations. And that too is from 7 to 9 Central Time in the evening, PM. Okay, and we have 2 Shabbat classes, one in the mornings on Shabbat from 10 to 12 a.m. Central Time. Then we close out the Shabbat for about an hour, 6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. Just for anybody that wants to come in and engage with us during our classes and our lessons. Okay, and then I'm be having a women's class on Sunday from it start at 5 p.m. Central Times for anybody that want to come. Any women or Israelite women or women that want to come in and check it out. I'm gonna have some a council, like 3 or 4 people that and everybody else can come in and through YouTube and listen and make remarks or whatever. But we have a council set up to deal with questions, various questions or whatever, and then we're gonna see how they go. If it goes the way I think, we're gonna try to do it every Sunday. And it not only that, it'll be on Israel Wake Up, my sister channel. Okay, try to build that up. Okay, so with that being said, for those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic conversation. It's a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the TRUH and the TRUH. TRUH being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the TRUH is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of Hosts, our Savior and our Redeemer. Okay, shalom and welcome to the channel. Welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, songs. We have some women's health. Then we do some current events, some need to know information. We'll open it up with some Q&A. Anybody have any questions or comments on anything they want to talk about, dialogue, and then we'll go into our topic, which is the first king of Esau and his connection to Mount Hermon. We'll break that down. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that he's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking our face, looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad, for you possess the power to turn us, O Lord. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, and to keep your commandments, your testimony, and your statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay, we're going to read the Psalms.
Shalom, everyone. I'm reading Psalms 26, 1 through 12. 1. Judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord, therefore I shall not slide. Examine me, O Lord, and prove me. Try my reins and my heart, for thy loving kindness is before my eyes, and I have walked in thy truth. I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers. I have
Disassemblers.
dissemblers. I have hated the congregation of evildoers, and I will not sit with the wicked. I will wash my hands in innocence. So will I compass thy altar, O Lord, that I may publish with the voice of thanksgiving and tell of all thy wondrous work. Lord, I have loved the inhabitants of thy house, and the place where thy honor dwelleth. Gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand is full of bribes. But as for me, I will walk in my integrity. Redeem me, and be merciful unto me. My foot standeth in even plain. In congregations I will bless the Lord. I read Psalms 26, 1 through 12. It's
Okay,
a Psalm of David. Uh, I have a question. Um, in verse 1 and and verse 12, about his beginning, about standing. I shall not slide. That means he's not going to waver, or he's going to stand in what he believes in. And then verse 12, my foot standeth on even plain. Is that the same as he's standing? He's not going to waver. He's going to stand there and continue to believe in the Lord of hosts, and he will not waver.
right there. Verse 1, when you notice in a lot of places, David proclaims that when he was young, he made mistakes, and then when he got older, he learned not to go to the left or the right. That's what he's talking about. He's learned how he's got the Most High's laws down uh, pat, and he know how he works, and he know that if he veered from the Most High's laws, he's gonna get judged. So he learned in his old age not to go to the left or to the right. Whatever law is, he's gonna do it by the book. And then verse 12 says, "My foot standeth in the even place, in the congregation will I bless him." So in the temple, you stand in the temple, and that's another verse you read that said, verse 7, that I may publish with my voice of thanksgiving. So that's praise and worship in the temple, and tell of all thy wonderful works. Lord, I have loved the habitation of thy house. That's the temple, and the place where thy honor dwelleth. And then he says, gather not my soul with sinners, nor my life with bloody men, in whose hands is mischief, and their right hand are full of grief. But as for me, I will walk in my integrity. Redeem me and be merciful unto me. So we go back to verse 1. You're going to walk in his integrity, which is not to go to the left or the right, to do what's right. And then he knew that the Lord, if he done that, the Lord was going to redeem him and be merciful on him. Okay? Any questions? Come in. Okay.
Shalom. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Would
what you
this
got?
be like his covenant, the covenant with, I mean, how I read it, or how it's being read, it sounds as if he has all the confidence. and knowing that um, the Lord of hosts is going to be there with him. So is that because he's depending on the covenant that the Lord of hosts made with him?
Right, right. He figured out the law, and he know whatever it is that the Lord said or proclaimed. If he do his part, he know what the outcome is. He got confidence in that. It's not just him. It's all the righteous men and women that's in Israel. They've learned. The priests and Levites, they keep his laws and the statutes. They know what the end result gonna be. And like I
Yes,
said
sir.
before, they already knew. That's where the trick come in. That they already had a covenant with him, and they already knew that they was gonna be resurrected. They ain't need nobody to come and die for them to get resurrected. They already knew they was gonna be resurrected. They already understood Ezekiel 37. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Uh,
Thank you.
so we got our winners help.
Yes, sir. Shalom, everyone. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on the importance of detoxing the body. Do you ever feel like your body is not functioning at its best? Do you often feel sluggish or tired, suffer from bloating or indigestion, or struggle to maintain a healthy weight? If you answered yes to any of these questions, then it may be time to consider giving your body a detox. What is detoxing and how does it work? Detoxing is the process of removing toxins from the body, which can accumulate due to a variety of factors, including diet, environmental pollution, and stress. These toxins can build up over time and lead to a range of health issues such as digestive problems, allergies, and skin issues. The goal of detoxing is to restore your body's natural balance by eliminating harmful substance and improving its ability to remove toxins itself. There are many ways to detox, including fasting, juicing, and taking supplements. Some people also choose to incorporate specific foods into their diet that are known to support the body's natural detoxification processes, such as leafy greens, beets, and garlic. Detoxing is an important step towards a healthier lifestyle. By removing toxins from your body, you give your organs the chance to rest and recharge. Detoxing can also lead to improved digestion and increased energy levels. Which can help you feel more focused and productive throughout the day. Additionally, detoxing can help to improve your immune system and reduce inflammation in the body, leading to a reduced risk of chronic diseases such as arthritis and cancer. Another benefit of detoxing is that it can improve your skin health. When your body is overloaded with toxin, it can show up on your skin in the form of acne, rashes, and other skin irritations. By removing these toxins, you can achieve clearer, healthier looking skin. Detoxing can also help to reduce the appearance of cellulite and promote a more youthful, radiant complexion. Detoxing can also have a positive impact on your mental health. When your body is weighed down by toxins, it can lead to feeling of fatigue, brain fog, and even depression. By removing these toxins, you can experience improved mental clarity, increased focus, and a more positive outlook on life. Our immune system plays a crucial role in protecting our bodies from infections and diseases. During a detox, the body is given the chance to eliminate harmful toxins and improve its natural ability to fight off infections. This is because when our organs are not overwhelmed by toxins, they can better focus on performing their essential functions, such as fighting off viruses and bacteria. So, the bottom line is that detoxing your body is an important step towards better health and well being. By removing toxins from your body and improving its natural ability to eliminate harmful substances, you can experience improved digestion, increased energy level, and a reduced risk of chronic disease. When selecting a detox program, it is important to choose one that is right for your individual needs and goals, and to maintain healthy habits after completing the program to ensure the best possible outcomes. I will be reading Jeremiah chapter 33, verses 6 through 9, the abundance of peace and truth. Verse 6, behold, I will bring it health and cure. I will cure them and will reveal unto them the abundance of peace and truth. And I will cause the captivity of Judah and the captivity of Israel to return, and will build them as at the first. Verse 8, and I will cleanse them from all their iniquity, whereby they have sinned against me. And I will pardon all their iniquities, whereby they have sinned, and whereby they have transgressed against me. And it shall be to me a name of joy, and a praise, and a honor before all the nations of the earth, which shall hear all the good that I do unto them. And they shall fear and tremble for all the goodness and for all the prosperity that I procure unto it. Tonight's discussion was on the importance of detoxing the body, and I read Jeremiah chapter 33, verses 6 through 9, the abundance of peace and truth. Shalom, everyone.
Okay, appreciate that information. All right, we're gonna go to our current events.
Is flashing red, and there are warning signs all over the place. That is the exact subject line of an email that I received just this morning. Now, it took me about 14, 15 minutes to read this entire email, and what this person was saying, again, is troubling, but it's true. Today, I want to break down what is happening, why there are so many warning signs out there right now, what experts are saying, and what report just came out today that is, again, another warning of what's to come. So I'm going to break all this down in just a moment, but all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So let's just break it down. What was the report that came out this morning? Well, let's look at it. Here's an article from Bloomberg, and it says U.S. producer prices pick up slightly after downward revisions. Says the producer price index, or the PPI, rose 0.2% in August, led by services. Okay, what does this mean? How are we going to get through this? Is this a very good report? Is this a troubling report? Well, that's what we're going to discuss. Here's the reason why. Look at this. It says wholesale inflation slowed again last month. It doesn't say wholesale inflation dropped, decreased, right? Went negative. It said it slowed. That's the key. Now, the reason that is the key is because inflation is still going up. That should be the concern. But again, let's just look at this chart. Because inflation, or wholesale inflation, is moderating. You can see right here. Before, we were up at almost 12%, okay? This is, again, minus food and energy. Now we're at 2.4%, all right? So, again, it's coming down. It's moderating. You see it right here. It's moderating, right? It's not going too high, not going too low. It's just coming right across. Now, here's the reason why. Some are saying that this is good news. Others say this is bad news. Because of what we are spending our money on. When we look at this chart right here, and we look at this, it's stripping out food, energy, and trade. It says a less volatile measure favored by many economists. Prices rose by 0.3% for a second month. Compared with a year ago, the gauge rose 3.3%. Okay. So if you strip out food, energy, and trade, we went up by 0.3%. It's still an increase. It's still an increase. But this is the reason why it's such a big deal. Because in the matter of 5 days, okay, on the 17th and 18th of September, the Federal Reserve is going to have an FOMC meeting. In this meeting, we will then find out what they decide to do with interest rates. Here's the problem. According to many reports, according to the Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell himself, he said it's time for the Federal Reserve to act. It's time for him to most likely lower interest rates. But there's only one reason why you lower interest rates. You lower interest rates to increase spending. You increase rates to reduce spending or to bring down inflation. Inflation has been moderating. It's not going down. We're not seeing deflation. So based off of what we know, simple mathematics, if we see the interest rate go down, that means inflation is likely to go up. Well, guess what? That is what many people are already anticipating. But why would the Federal Reserve decide to lower interest rates right now? It's simple. There are a few different reasons why. Number one, and again, this is in no specific order, but one of the reasons why the Federal Reserve could lower interest rates is to make it look like Bidenomics has been working. Now, there are some things that Bidenomics has done that have worked. The majority have not. Now, the next reason why the Federal Reserve may decide to lower interest rates is because of this. The U.S. commercial real estate mortgage market is headed towards a crisis. In the first quarter of 2025, we are anticipating, or we need $1.5 trillion of
Okay.
I was just feeling sick.
commercial real estate needs to be refinanced. If it is not, banks are going to struggle. Banks will close down. And I'm not talking about just a couple, okay? Experts say bank failures are coming. We have hundreds and hundreds of banks that are likely going to close down simply because they have way too much debt, not enough assets, and they cannot cover themselves. It's just that simple. Now, we could see some changes to policy. We could see changes to what the bank is required to keep on hand. We've already seen a little bit of this, but it could be extended, go a little bit further. And if a bank is struggling to pay its debts, what do? Well, they're going to go under. And if you have money in that bank, and again, it's likely going to be regional banks, not the big ones, but when these regional lenders go under, they're going to require FDIC insurance to cover all your deposits. Here's the problem. FDIC insurance has less than 1% of the total deposits in the U.S. That is what FDIC has on hand. So 99% of the money that is currently in deposit inside the U.S. is not insured. That's a problem. Now, here's the other thing I want to say. Because again, the U.S. economy has been flashing red for some time. But many consumers don't realize what's coming. This person wrote to me the other day and said this, and I quote, "How can you keep telling people to not buy stuff right now? There are sales literally everywhere. I walked through the mall this afternoon and every store had a sale of some kind." Why do you think stores are having sales? Do you think stores are having sales because, well, it's they have a fake holiday because they want to see you come in and put a smile on your face? No. They're selling stuff at a discount because that stuff isn't selling at its current price. That's why. Trying to make more money. Yeah, that's just the way it is. Think about real estate, for example. When there's a short supply of a specific type of house or in a specific location, that price goes up for any house that comes on the market. But when there's a bunch of them and nobody wants them, they keep discounting the prices. Again, they're just trying to sell, trying to make money. But here's what I think is interesting. People are buying stuff not because they need it, because it's on sale. They're using their new age math that, okay, there's a riding lawnmower it's normally $8,000, but they're selling it for 50% off. It's only $4,000 this week only. And the guy that has a 200 square foot lawn, he's like, man, I could use that riding lawnmower. That could almost save me some time. Yeah, it's 50% off. I better buy it. No, you probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't buy something just because it's on sale. That's what people are doing. Look at this, though. I thought this was interesting. It says retail RV sales continue to dive. All types are sinking. Now, I was talking to a friend of mine who used to work at an RV dealership, and he said that it was rough. This RV dealership they used to work at closed like 3-4 months ago, but he said the last few months were extremely rough. They closed down right before summer. When RV travel, people were going in RVs, and that's just what a lot of people do. He said it was rough. People couldn't afford it. They couldn't afford it. And not only this, they couldn't afford the RV. They couldn't afford the truck, okay, the large SUV to haul the RV down the road. They couldn't afford the two of those things. They could get one, but not both. This is just the start. And again, I'm bringing this all to your attention because you look at like the stories, like, okay, RV sales are continuing to decline. Car sales, dealerships going out of business because they can't sell cars, interest rates still too high. Right? Auto insurance, still too expensive. In certain states, auto insurance is going through the roof just because of the amount of thefts. I was also talking to a friend of mine who lives in California. His insurance company dropped him. You know why they dropped him? Because in his policy, instead of taking and changing the policy, they just dropped him. But in his policy, it said that all of his windows could be replaced for free. If they're ever broken, replaced for free. Crack in the windshield, replaced for free. Okay? Guess where he lives? He lives near San Francisco, where people are stealing stuff, breaking your windows within seconds, take bags out of your car, and the authorities are doing nothing about it. Yeah.
Okay. Any comments on that? I mean, it's nothing new. We already know the economy going down. Okay. But he's shining the light on the fact that all the warning signs, all the things that's happening, flashing red. Any comments? Okay.
No, sir.
What if there was a way to know if a stock
freaking out because of BRICS de-dollarization efforts? Some people, especially those in the West, felt we were just making noise. But the truth is that the authorities in Top Gun are actually scared of the massive push by BRICS to reduce reliance on the dollars and for countries to begin to use local currencies for international trade. But how do we know that? Well, apart from the fact that a lot of countries are beginning to trade bilaterally in their local currencies, the US presidential candidate, Donald Trump, has said it with his own mouth not once, but twice. For Trump to say it out, it means that it has been discussed among the US top officials that support him. And for it to be discussed, it means that it is not a minor issue. Now, the first time Trump raised this issue was in April this year during one of his presidential campaign speeches. He said that if he wins the election, he would not allow other countries to abandon the dollar. In his own words, "I don't want people leaving the dollar, and I feel that way. But I will tell you, it has taken on a life. I hate when countries go off the dollar. I would not allow countries to go off the dollar because when we lose that standard, that will be like losing a revolutionary war. That will be a hit to our country, just like losing a war. And we can't let that happen. And too many countries now are fighting to get off the dollar."
Well, it's a great question. The problem with what
we have with sanctions, and I was a user of sanctions, but I put them on and take them off as quickly as possible because ultimately it kills your dollar and it kills everything the dollar represents, and we have to continue to have that be the world currency. I think it's important. I think it would be losing a war if we lost the dollar as the world currency. I think that would be the equivalent of losing a war. That would make us a third world country, and we can't let it happen.
For Trump to include it as a part of his campaign promises, then it means that the issue of de-dollarization is a big problem for the United States. But April wasn't the only time Trump reiterated his promise. He said it again very recently, and this time it wasn't just a promise of stopping countries from ditching the dollar. No, this time he said how he planned to stop countries from ditching the dollar. And guess how Trump's administration plans to do that? Well, it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. Trump simply plans to use the U.S. most favorite weapon, threat and sanction. Now, Trump said this during a rally in Wisconsin. Speaking to those present, the U.S. presidential candidate sent a strong warning to every country considering ditching the dollar for international trade. In his speech, Trump pledged to sanction these countries by imposing a 100% tariff on any country that dares to shift away from the dollar, a move that intensifies his protectionist trade platform.
Former President Donald Trump has pledged to impose a 100% tariff on countries that move away from using the US dollar in international trade. Speaking at a rally in Wisconsin, Trump said any nation abandoning the dollar would face severe trade penalties with the United States. His remarks come as the dominance of the US dollar, which still accounts for 59% of global foreign exchange reserves, according to the IMF, is being challenged by growing discussions of de-dollarization.
Once the U.S. starts issuing threats and mentioning sanctions, then it's no longer a minor issue. Trump went on to emphasize and highlight that abandoning the U.S. dollars for international trade would effectively mean losing access to the U.S. market. In simple terms, if any country abandons the dollar, that country would no longer be financially feasible to conduct business with the United States. Now, according to Trump, this move or tactic is simply a defense of the U.S. dollar, which he claims has been under siege for the past few years. He went on to further express his concerns over the growing discussions among member countries of the BRICS alliance, including China and Russia, to reduce reliance on the dollar and conduct trade between countries in currencies other than the dollar. Trump made reference to the BRICS summit last year, which effectively pushed the de-dollarization agenda and reiterated his desire and promise to ensure that the dollar remains the world's dominant reserve currency. Yes, the US dollar is still the world's reserve currency, contributing for nearly 60% of global trade. However, the fact is that it has been in the decline for several years, and the de-dollarization campaign by BRICS has opened the eyes of many nations that there is an alternative to using the dollar for trade. You see, using the dollars for international trade and as a reserve currency was beneficial to the United States, but for those countries using it, it's a big problem. For some of them, especially those in developing countries, such as African countries, using the dollar for trade has weakened their local currency, thereby affecting their economies. But apart from this, using the dollar as a reserve currency means that every country in the world that is not an ally of the United States or disagrees with the U.S. stance on any issue at any point in time risks being sanctioned financially and economically. It's no longer news that since the U.S. became the world superpower in everything, including economically, it has wielded economic sanctions as a weapon and a political tool to strangle countries that it feels are a threat and countries that refuse to follow its ideals, principles, and interests. A lot of countries, including China, Russia, Iran, and several African countries, have been subject to the U.S. sanctions. Russia is one of the most recent countries that is currently experiencing brutal sanctions imposed by the U.S. Essentially, the United States has become the global bully, using threats and sanctions to ensure that everything goes its way. Remember earlier this year, after South Africa took Israel to court for committing genocide? Well, while the whole court case was going on, the U.S. Congress threatened to remove South Africa from the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which gives African countries duty-free access to the U.S. market, for daring to take its ally, Israel, to court. So, given this situation, it absolutely makes a lot of sense that countries around the world would grab an alternative to using the US dollars for international trade, not just to protect their local currencies, but also to shut down the risk of sanctions, but typical of the United States. Instead of looking for other ways to stop countries from ditching the US dollars, Trump feels that threatening countries is the perfect way to go. Honestly, that...
Okay, any comments on that?
Shalom, everyone. I was going to say that it's like they know that they're losing, right? So they
Okay.
do what they always are doing, is threatening people. They feel
Exactly.
like threatening people is going to get them what they want, but that's all coming to an end.
Right. Ain't there something?
Yes, sir.
Okay, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, then notice what he had said earlier in the video, that he said that sanctions was going to threaten the dollar, and then he come back around at the end and say that his way of fixing them trying to attack the dollar and de-dollarization is to sanctions. When he just said
Yep.
that sanctions, that's crazy. That don't make no sense whatsoever. Ain't that something? So it's back like I was saying before. Our Redeemer promised us a long time ago, our forefathers, that after the curse was over with, he was going to place them on our enemies. And so back, like I said, back in the 70s, in the 50s and all that, we couldn't do nothing right. Everything we did was wrong. Like you said, you go in one way, come out the other way. Everything you do is wrong. Now we see that same spirit on them. They can't do nothing right. Everything they do is wrong. It's detrimental. Everything they do. So we see the transfer happening back to us. Okay. So I got some need to know information right here. I'm always talking about this guy, Abraham TRUH. So what just happened is that when you understand how the West works, even within our country, how they supply these gangs with weapons and all that, and they use gang members, they use terrorist groups and all that to destabilize whatever area they want to be destabilized, whether it's globally or whether it's in our country. They bring in these people, they supply them with money, and they supply them with weapons or drugs, whatever they need. Rick Ross, he's a perfect example. So this guy Abraham TRUH, understand that, right? So they got this terrorist group that has been terrorizing them, and he took his army and they went and fought him and defeated him. And now got the whole NATO countries and everybody in a panic. Let's check it out.
Burkina Faso has undoubtedly changed since Captain Ibrahim Traoré took office, especially in the fight against insurgency. He has no fear of dying. In addition, he mentioned 3 terms that we Africans ought to avoid using in our speech. And these are ineptitude, treachery, and cowardice. We will discuss the 3 words he suggested we get rid of. Traoré has led Burkina Faso toward wealth by accomplishing seemingly impossible feats. Still, how did Traoré manage to pull this off? What was his success roadmap? Let's investigate. With a strong sense of spirit and a proud past, Burkina Faso is fighting back against insurgencies despite all the odds. The nation is fighting valiantly for its survival as well.
So when they say insurgency, that ain't nothing but the CIA, FBI, the U.S. government, and the NATO countries trying to usurp his authority, kill him off. It's been working in the past. That's why every other day you hear some African leader getting killed because of what they're doing. CIA behind it. Even like I said, even within this country, they killed Fred Hampton and Malcolm X and all that. It's all same organization.
Its sovereignty and dignity under Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership. A profound shift is taking place in the world, challenging preconceived notions about Africa and redefining what is achievable in the face of hardship. Burkina Faso encountered a serious security situation in 2022. A significant portion of the country was under the hands of insurgent organizations, putting the nation in danger of imploding. The September 207 vehicle convoy ambush, which claimed a large number of lives, brought attention to the gravity of the threat and the shortcomings of the government's reaction.
If you want to feel your energy levels skyrocket, you've got to try out this organ.
However, Captain Ibrahim Traore emerged as a new leader in the midst of this chaos. Traore has set out on a mission to free his country from fanaticism with a decisive coup and a series of calculated military maneuvers. Burkina Faso has undergone changes since Traore took office. Currently, his second round is even bringing peace to Burkina Faso. It's crucial to comprehend how he accomplished the impossibility, though. But first, it's crucial to understand how Burkina Faso got to that precipice. The disintegration of Burkina Faso was not an overnight event. The country had struggled with instability for years, which was made worse by its location at the intersection of many Sahelian conflict zones. Insurgent organizations emerged in the region due to a confluence of events, including political unrest, economic hardship, and the aftermath of neighboring conflicts. Extremist organizations, such as members of Al-Qaeda and ISIS, saw a chance to take advantage of Burkina Faso's weaknesses. After Libya fell in 2011, Islamist groups in the Sahel received an influx of weapons that allowed them to extend their operations. These organizations took advantage of local issues in Burkina Faso, such as unemployment, poverty, and political marginalization. They took over border regions, enlisted young people who had lost their rights, and started enforcing their harsh regulations. They took over entire towns and villages, and local government systems broke down. An important turning point occurred on September 26, 2022, during the ambush. A caravan making its way from Ouagadougou to Djibo, targeted by militants affiliated with Al-Qaeda, totaling 207 automobiles. The attack, which left 70 people missing and 37 dead, shocked the public and demonstrated how deeply the militants had taken hold of the country. Under the leadership of Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry Sandaogo Damiba, the government was completely unprepared. There was a great deal of public ire and disillusionment as a result of its perceived delayed and ineffective response. People protested in the streets, calling on their authorities to act more decisively. The army, which was underfunded and demoralized, found it difficult to keep the peace. Fear and resentment surged across the nation as public confidence in the administration collapsed. Burkina Faso citizens felt powerless against the growing threat of insurgencies and abandoned by their authorities. In this desperate and unpredictable situation, Captain Ibrahim Traore showed himself to be a capable leader. He led a group of like-minded military officers in a coup on September 30, 2022. In contrast to earlier coups in Burkina Faso's history, this one was motivated by a sincere desire to re-establish security and stability rather than by self-interest or outside pressure. Traore moved quickly and calculatedly. With little opposition, his forces seized control of military installations, state television, and other government buildings. It was an obvious message. A new age had begun, one in which the security and safety of the Burkinabe people would come first. Now that Traore was in charge, it was crucial to determine how his leadership would be different from that of his predecessors. Add your voice to the total liberation of Africa by leaving a comment in the comments section below. Do not forget to like and subscribe for more informative videos like this one. Let's proceed. Captain Ibrahim Traore's leadership is distinguished by a special combination of strategic vision, pragmatism, and unshakable dedication to the security of his nation. Unlike his forebears, Traore recognized that combating the complex threat posed by insurgencies required an all-encompassing strategy. He set out to restore the military's capability, raise morale, and promote a feeling of oneness among the country. As soon as he took office, Traore carried out an exhaustive evaluation of the military's advantages and disadvantages. He saw right away that more advanced gear, improved instruction, and more inter-branch coordination were necessary for the armed forces. Traore gave the purchase of contemporary weapons and enhanced logistical support first priority because he understood that a demoralized force could not defeat well-armed insurgents. This involved improving supply routes, bolstering communication networks, and making sure that soldiers on the front lines had the necessary gear and morale. Traore's dedication to open and honest communication was among his most noteworthy deeds. Traore made it a point to address the country regularly and candidly, in contrast to other leaders who frequently worked behind closed doors. Rather than avoiding the topic of previous leadership's shortcomings, he turned them into a driving force for improvement. The Burkinabe people responded favorably to his direct style, who yearned for integrity and bold action. Traore presented the struggle against insurgencies as a community endeavor that needed the involvement and support of all citizens, rather than just a military campaign. Traore's early acts demonstrated his commitment to this goal. He took the initiative, frequently visiting soldiers on the front lines and interacting firsthand with the local populations impacted by acts of terrorism. The government.
Okay.
If you live in fear of outliving.
Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments on that?
No, sir.
Okay.
Your retirement savings,
With that being said, I'll open it up for some questions and comments. Anybody have anything they want to talk about or they heard on this channel they want to get some clarity or something they want to shine a light on? Okay, play this right here. Well, first of all, I got a question. Did anybody watch the debate that happened on Tuesday night?
Shalom. Yes, sir. I watched it.
Okay, you get anything out of that?
Shalom. Yes and no. Yes, I've got the fact that that Kamala Harris, she had a lot of points and she didn't waver in her speaking. Also, Trump, he rambled a lot, which that part I didn't understand why would he, go so far to the left talking. And I don't think it's going to be a second debate. I don't know. Just seem like that's, yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody else?
And Shalom, I watched bits and pieces. I didn't watch all of it. But to me, again, Trump was being Trump. He was trying really hard to not go to the left like he normally does when he's speaking, because he just brings up anything and talks about anything. He doesn't really stick to the topic at hand when they asked him, a certain question. He goes off to something else. But yeah, I watched bits and pieces.
Exactly where that worked last time for him with Hillary Clinton, and last time he ran for presidency, he would just come out and demoralize people and just tell one lie after another one, and it worked this time, but it's not working this time because of You know, it's a whole different atmosphere out there. He's trying to use that same tactic, but it ain't working. But I want to play this right here. I thought this was kind of revealing. And I mentioned this about the moderator, one of those the female moderator, lady, what she had on, and then but check this out.
I didn't watch the debate. I just, it's just something about seeing politicians up there going back and forth, and pretending like they actually do care about, the regular people and all of that. It's very hard for me to watch that. I mean, for real. I'll watch a sports game more than I would watch something like that. A bad comedy, something, but I just can't watch that, And on top of that, when I got on social media to see all the high emotion, so I decided to take a day. I wanted to wait until the following day after the confetti has fallen, after both sides have claimed victory. I said, let me come for cleanup. And let me see, okay, what's left. And let me look at the program and let me see what's really going on here. And I came across something that was quite interesting. So, for example, did you know that one of the debate moderators, Lindsay Davis, yeah, she's an AKA. Did you know that? Yeah, she's an AKA. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing it up because guess who else is an AKA? Kamala Harris. She's an AKA. So right off the top, does that even seem fair to you? I mean, even that. Again, I'm not even in this, I don't have a dog in this race at all, but I'm just saying. So let's just say, for example, if you had one of the debate moderators who was a member of, let's just say, the NRA, and then as a moderator, it's their responsibility to moderate a debate where one of the candidates, one of the participants, is also a member of the NRA. How do you think that would play well, to the general public? How do you think that would play well, in the mainstream media? It wouldn't. But in this case, we're supposed to just overlook that. But see, unlike the NRA, AKAs, just like all other Black Greek letter organizations, well, their relationship goes a lot deeper. This year, July the 10th of this year, well, Kamala Harris actually spoke at the Boule, yeah, see this? At the Boule or the AKA event down in Texas. And we're going to take a look at that clip. So what you're going to look at now is, I'm not going to play the whole thing because it's about 18, 20 minutes long. So what I did is I clipped it down and I'm highlighting some very important things that she said in this speech. So we're going to go ahead and roll that. And what I'll also do is provide you with a link to the video so that you can watch it yourself. And I'll go even further than that. I'll provide you a link to the actual transcript from the White House. So because I don't want to hear from anybody what you took her out of context and all that stuff, you can go and you can watch the video yourself, and you can also watch or read the transcript for yourself. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and roll this clip.
My new book, Keyboard Rich, How Anyone Can Earn Six Figures.
Good morning, my sorors. To our Supreme Basilisk, Danette, Anthony Reed, thank you for your leadership, your kind words, your friendship, and all that you do. To my line sisters, the 38 jewels of iridescent splendor. Sorors, as many of you know, this sisterhood has been a part of my life since my earliest days, starting with my aunt, Miss Christine Simmons, who was initiated in 1950 at Howard University. And from 1978 to 1981, she served as Basilisk of Alpha Nu Omega chapter in Oakland, California. And it is because of your work and your support that we have been able to then fill our administration with incredible leaders, such as Shalonda Young, Soror Shalonda Young. who is the head of the most powerful office of management and budget. She controls the money. And of course, a member of our sorority.
Now, for those of you who have been following our platform for some time, you know for years now, I mean, we're talking 5, 6+ years now, we have always made it a point to really dive deep and talk about the history of these Black Greek letter organizations. The reason why, the main and only reason why these organizations were created, when you look at the actual history, was simply because of the fact that you had a group of Black folks who desperately wanted to be included in white secret societies. And those white secret societies at that time said, no, we don't accept your kind. So what happened? So Black people, so these group of Black people said, okay, well, we'll create our own. Now, here's the problem that I have with this. And that is that Black people, where we were in that station in life, well, let me just cut to the chase. Why do Black people need a secret society in the first place, where certain people are accepted and others are not, when we were all at that time at the bottom of the barrel? That never made any sense to me, you know. And then even to this day, we still have. And the thing that really concerns me about these groups is that what they do with their power is that they take their opinions and they impress it upon the greater Black community and say, this is where the Black community needs to go. This is how the Black community needs to think. And it's these same people like Mr. Johnson of Ebony Magazine Empire, who pushed upon us white skin whitening cream, colorism, you know, that kind of stuff. Yeah, we can attribute that to the Johnsons. We can attribute that to these Black Greek letter organizations. And you know what we can also attribute to the Black Greek letter organizations? Yeah, how many of you guys remember MOVE, okay, in Philadelphia? This was back in the 80s, where Wilson Good, who's an Alpha, he authorized his police department to drop a bomb on a Black community, Black section of town in the city of Philadelphia, where many people died, Black people died. See, people don't want to talk about that. People don't want to, they don't want to revisit that. But he was a member of the Alphas. He was an Alpha that authorized the bombing of Black folks in America. And he was the first Black mayor of the city of Philadelphia.
Well, man, I can come smile. I don't have to do no goddamn work. Okay? I don't have to do no work systemically, and I'm going to be fine. And guess what? I will always get 38 to 45% of the white vote. If I get 30 to 45% of the white vote, I don't fucking have to get the white vote I got this past election. I'm fucking win. You got Black city, that's great. You can have all Black everything. And guess what? You won't have green nothing. You know, the white money thinks that you are looking after their shit. They will take their shit. The frat bill, they will take their shit to white world, and you won't have shit.
Now, to be fair, when you look at these different organizations, yes, they have done some good things for Black people and all of that, but usually it's ultimately for their benefit. For example, you know, if, you know, they will oftentimes favor their own members above regular people who are not members for different plum positions, opportunities, things like that. And so here you got Black folks who are pining for opportunities and things like that. But here you have built within our own construct, we have a separate society that says, unless you're part of our group, you're not going to get access to these things. And that's the main issue that I have with them. But what's more is that these organizations, like I said, in my NRA example, NRA, you just apply for it and pretty much that's it. But when you talk about these Greek letter organizations, well, it goes a lot deeper than that. It goes deep into spirituality, and it goes into things that should be concerning to a lot of people. Okay, so well, let's take a look at their own pledge book, okay? And there's some things in here that's, well, let's just read it, okay? It says obedience, all right? Candidates assemble in the anteroom where the following questions are asked by the pilot. Pilot to candidates, are you willing to accept the responsibilities of a soror of Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority? If so, repeat after me. I am. And the candidates say I am. Pilot says, do you solemnly promise obedience to the laws governing this organization? If so, repeat after me. I do. All right. And then it goes on. It says on the right-hand side, it says, those who, this is the pilot, those who are not willing may withdraw. And then it says the pilot alarms the door, the sentinel stationed at the door, Basilis, I hope I'm saying that right. There is an alarm at the door. And the Basilis said, attend the alarm, sentinel. And then the sentinel goes on and it says, Basilis, the pilot with the candidates who desire to be admitted to our order is here. And then the Basilis says, have the candidates made satisfactory answers to the questions and expressed their desire to unite with us? And the sentinel says, I will ascertain. And then it goes on and the pilot says they have. And the Basilis says, then admit them. And the pilot enters in with the candidates and lights are lowered. Okay. Now this is the Vice President of the United States. She's part of this. Okay. And it says the Basilis to the candidates, are you willing to be submissive and in every way to subjugate yourself to the highest authority? Repeat after me. I am. And then it goes on. Okay. So here you have the Vice President of the United States who took part in this. And I didn't even get into the part where it talks about, them in a darkened room, holding candles, wearing dark dresses. Oh, it goes pretty deep. And then they'll throw some scriptures in there, to satisfy the religious black folks. But for the most part, dark candles, dark room, and then saying that you're going to be submissive to the highest authority. What authority is that? This is some of the things that we do bring up here. Same thing, I did a video a while back about the police. Many police officers are Masons. They're part of a Masonic order. They even have patches that you can find freely available on Google. And so they have dual loyalties, both to the oath that they take to office, and then many of them have an oath that they take to these Masonic orders. This is why we tell black folks specifically, listen, you have to pay attention to what these politicians, these people, law enforcement and all of that, what they are subject themselves to. What other oaths did they take? Most of these people, again, they take two separate oaths. There's an oath to the nation, to the people, quote unquote, but there's also an oath to their own organization, meaning that under the radar, they're going to make sure they're taking care of their people first. This is why you see a lot of black politicians, they get in office, they're not really doing anything for black folks, right? They'll do things for some black folks, but not all. Well, why is that? Because they took a separate oath. And this should be very concerning to all of us. And see, the thing is, when you're part of these types of secret societies, these organizations where you're taking oaths and all of that, they make you do some very weird and very strange things, a lot of times to your own members. Now, what I want to do now is show you a clip of a video I'm sure that many of you guys have seen. It's of Dick Gregory, who's long gone now, and he's talking about the day that King died. Now, I have a much longer version of this video, and I think I can make it live. I'll see. I'll figure it out. But you can find. You should be able to find it here on YouTube. If not, I'll definitely make it available so that everybody can watch it. But it's this particular clip here. It's very interesting because, as you know, MLK, he himself was I believe he was an Alpha as well, but he was surrounded by a lot of other members of different Greek letter organizations. So let me play this clip and we'll be right back.
I was at the trial in Memphis. I want to show you all quickly and explain to you why that jury of six whites after 3 hours came back and found that white boy guilty of conspiring to kill Dr. Martin Luther King. And it went further than that. And they also said there was some co-conspirators, black folks, unnamed, that was involved. I want to show you a little 3-minute clip. sister that Dr. King was going by his house for dinner. He was due at 7, but they had to move it up for 7 to be a little too dark to shoot somebody. So they moved it to 6 o'clock. 2 years ago, at a press conference in Memphis, I get a call. And they said, so-and-so was thinking about killing so-and-so. I said, what? Well, he said something at a press conference, I put him on the phone. I said, whatever you do, get that film. But once NBC realized that this brother was still considered, we would never get our hands on the film. What you're fixing to see now went into the evidence in the King trial when they brought a wrongful death suit. And I'll explain that to you quickly in a minute. But what you're fixing to witness now is the man who came by to get King to take him to dinner. And 30 years later at a press conference, he slipped because God do baffle your mind sometimes. You look.
What do healthy 100-year-olds have that you may not? Well, recently, scientists looked at a biomarker.
Some of the activities are geared especially for the young who did not have a chance to get to feel or to know what the civil rights movement actually was about. Even as they marched, now they could have stopped in a hotel, but when you think about marching from Memphis to Jackson or Jackson to Memphis, that was a hotel. You stayed in churches, you stayed in people's homes, and that's how we got over. That's how we got through. The struggle was a spiritual struggle. You couldn't pay people to do what we had to do. You couldn't pay people to stand before mad dogs and fire hoses and billy clubs and cattle prods. It was strictly a spiritual and moral movement. So we wanted that dimension to be in the pilgrimage to Memphis. We will revisit the mountaintop speech site. That's the Mason's Temple, where Dr. King made his last address, which he almost didn't make, because the night that we were having that rally, there were tornado warnings, and he was behind on the Poor People's Campaign. And he said, you guys go on over and have the rally. I'm going to stay at the motel and work on the Poor People's Campaign. When we got there, and Dr. Abernathy walked in, and Jesse Jackson walked in, and I walked in, and others, people started clapping because they thought Martin was behind us. And so Ralph Preacher said to him, this is not our crowd. And he went to the phone and called Dr. King. And any of the marches that we had in those days, you have an opportunity to bring the children and bring the family and march with us. And when I finished sharing with them the last hour of Dr. King's life, but that gave me the wonderful privilege of spending the last hour on earth. 3 preachers in a room, Abernathy, King, and Kyle. And we spent that last hour together in room 306 at the Lorraine Motel. The press is always curious, and writers, what went on? What did you talk about? I said, we just talk preacher talk. What preachers talk about when they get together? Okay, the Bibles and all. What I fix here now. By 5:45, we walked on the balcony, and he was talking to people in the courtyard. He stood here and I stood there. Only as I moved away, so we could have a clear shot. The shot rang out.
Damn.
Back on the balcony. Listen.
You hear that? Anybody hear that?
I heard it. Just move and get a clear shot.
Yeah, he said you move aside so we can get a good shot. Ain't that something? That's crazy. Okay. Yeah. So anybody got any questions or comments on that? Man, that ain't nothing new. I mean, that shouldn't be nothing new. Okay. So with that being said, I'm gonna go to this play this video. It's about Esau, the first king of Esau, and then how he's tied to Mount Hermon. So we'll be clear. Anybody know what Mount Hermon is?
Is that where the fallen angels came down and slept with the women?
Yeah, it's plateau. Mount Hermon, yeah. Okay. So also remember, for educational purposes, in the book of Adam and Eve, those during the time of Jared, they was on a plateau. And then they was coerced off of that plateau and came down, and that's when they no longer was separated from Cain's descendants, because they, for the longest, they lived on that plateau separate from everybody else. And like I was saying before, in that book, it says that he told Jared that he was going to return there. He had another place for them to go. So they was on the plateau. I think it was in Tanzania. It's a it's a plateau over in Tanzania. So from there, they went to the land of Canaan. But you got to did a lot of research to even understand that. But anyway, so let's play this.
I'm Zach. What if I told you that while digging deep into the story of Esau in Genesis 36, I stumbled upon an intriguing discovery, one that could change the way we think about Esau, Edom, and its history, as well as Edom's connection to Mount Hermon. Yes, I found new connections between the first king of Esau and Mount Hermon of the fallen angels, not found anywhere else on YouTube. Today I have a groundbreaking episode for you, filled with information that you will find nowhere else. This episode is dedicated to those that are like me, seeking truth and knowledge. If you give me just a few minutes of your time, I can show you information from the Bible that I can't even find in a deep Google search. So, more connections from Mount Hermon to Esau, you say? That's right. I found a strong link, multiple strong links that tie the first king of Esau or Edom to Mount Hermon, where the angels from the book of Jude and 2 Peter 2 and Enoch say that the angels came down and had children with women, creating giants, aka the Nephilim, which caused the flood. Tisk tisk. Women always get us in trouble. Just kidding. Just joking for sure. Also, if you remember the Amim from last Esau episode and a couple others, I have found powerful connections to the hybrid beasts found in Daniel 7. These hybrid beasts that come from the sea, just like I'll show you the Amim seem to. In our last episode of Esau, we related him to the satyrs of Seir, how Esau's bloodline was ultimately cursed because he slept with the remnant of the Nephilim, not just over a bowl of soup. That was a tiny shadow of what he was willing to do, breeding in with the remnant of the Nephilim, and specifically those were the Horites of Mount Seir. If you remember, that was the land that Esau went into. Seir, the Horite, the guy who ruled this land, his name literally means, Seir is Satyr, a cave-dwelling hairy goat demon, right? Cave dweller is a Horite. If you haven't seen it, and I've started to find things that ties into Horus, but we'll get there in a different episode. If you haven't seen that episode, I highly recommend that you do. But you won't need it to understand this episode. In this episode, God has blessed you with more mind-blowing information, tethering Esau with the Nephilim, and specifically Mount Hermon, among many other things. To start it off, I will even give never, ever before seen information on the Amim, a group of Nephilim found originally in the land of Edom. Does this all sound interesting to you? Well, then please join me. Let's start the show.
May 23rd, 2024. Remember this date because this was the day.
Starting verse for tonight's study on the first king of Esau, found in Genesis chapter 36, verse 31 and 32. These are the kings who reigned in the land of Edom before any king reigned over the Israelites. Bela, son of Beor, reigned in Edom. The name of his city was Dinhaba. Okay, so what is this telling us? That before there were any kings in Israel, these were the kings of the land of Edom. And I have a very strong suspicion that this is referring to the timeline of Israel in the beginning of the period of Judges, right? Before they had their first king in Saul, hundreds of years before that. This is backed up by Bela, as we see here, son of Beor. Being a son of Beor means Balaam, from the book of Numbers, would be his brother. He's also a son of Beor. And Balaam was the one who stood in Moab and somehow contacted our God, doing a sacrifice that I'll have in another episode that ties into the Ugaritic. I found that same sacrifice in the Ugaritic texts. But he was the one standing there trying to curse Israel as they came into the land. So that's given us the time period as the beginning of Israel inheriting the land after they defeated Og. And definitely, 300 to 400 years before King David. And then second, if you go down a little bit, you'll see some also that's really fun. Our second king in Edom is Jobab from Basra. And I strongly believe that is our friend Job, author of the book of Job. Many answers can be found if you go and look at the removed section of the book of Job at the end of that book, the last chapter, I believe, found in the Septuagint. So if you look at that Septuagint version, you'll get that little piece right there that they removed for some reason. But I don't have enough time to go on that right now. So we're going to start with the mystery. Who really was this first king of Esau in the land of Edom? To answer that question, let's take a quick overview of the chapter to get an idea of what was going on in Edom at that time and how absolutely insane it was, especially when you get into the Hebrew and you start looking deep into this stuff. Like, this is a crazy chapter. It's up there with Genesis 6 pretty much. Okay, so as we look here, I have it separated into, I would say the chapter's kind of separated into 4 lists, like chiefs of Esau, descendants of Esau, kings as the last list, as we'll see. So let's get down to our friend Bela, but let's start by looking at what exactly is in this chapter. What is it hinting at? Okay, this first list in gold, verses 1 through 14, is tribes and descendants, including Amalek down here in red. Who was he? He was one of Israel's first and main enemies that God spoke about many times in the Bible. Interestingly enough, he was born from a goat-like satyr woman, the daughter of Sair, named Timnah. So when you come down here to Timnah, it says she's a concubine, which is a horrible thing. It's a very sinful thing that he took her as that. But just as sinful is the fact that she is not from human blood. She is from some type of fallen angel, Nephilim bloodline. Because when we look over here, we have to go down a little bit. And what it is that she is the sister of Lotan. And Lotan was a son of Hori, the Horites, son of Sair, right? And what Sair means is satyr. Satyr is a hairy goat demon. It says in Leviticus 17 for them not to worship these Nephilim, Rephaim, goat spirit entities, goat devils, right? And so he's of some special type Nephilim clan out here called the Horites. Now, he's Sair, the Horite, right? Sair in the land of Edom, and he's a Horite. So his name literally means, translated, so this is my last Esau episode if you want all this, Satyr, the cave dweller. Okay, and so his daughter, this is the sister of his son, right? Okay, so that means she is part of this Horite Nephilim bloodline. Crazy enough. And that's who his firstborn son took as a concubine, which just goes to show the character found within Esau. It wasn't just about selling a bowl of porridge, it's about his heart. He made a lot of bad decisions. Okay, and the mother of Eliphaz, the mother of Esau's firstborn, is Ada, the daughter of Elion, the Hittite. Okay, Hittite is a Canaanite, first off, and they've already at this point been interbreeding with the Nephilim in the land. And Elion is a very strange word. It has El in it, which means God in Hebrew. Elion, which means oak. And if you study these things, you know that the oaks of Bashan and the cypresses of Lebanon, these massive trees, well, they're used to define entities. The oaks of Bashan are the Nephilim that are part of the Mount Hermon League and so on. So a very interesting name and such that you'll immediately start finding once you start studying deeply within Genesis 36. He took Aholiobama, daughter of Anah, right? And she is the granddaughter of Zibeon. Zibeon, right here, when you look at the etymology of that word, it means a hyena or a screamer, a hairy hyena. Like, these people are all named very strange. It's the first clip. And because of the comments on the last episode, I must state my views clearly that Esau was not cursed for being a white man or anything to do with race, as our Hebrew Israelite will often state in the comments. He was cursed for sleeping with the beast, the Nephilim, children of the host of heaven. All of us humans are children of God, made in the image of God, image bearers. We all have the same responsibilities no matter the color of our skin or the culture that we come from. It is up to us to accept it and to not be blotted out of the book of life. It doesn't say that you're written in the book of life for being a good person. It says that you're already written in the Lamb's book of life, and that you have to decline your invitation to be blotted out of that book, taken out of the invitation from heaven by declining Jesus Christ, or by turning Jesus Christ into a lying racist. This has nothing to do with race. This has everything to do with Nephilim and the punishments that come from turning your back on God and worshiping idols. Turn to Jesus Christ, the living God of the Bible. It is the Word of God. He is the Word of God. Moving on. Second verse, when we get to 15 here, in red highlights, are going to define the clan leaders as assigned or as the family of each wife of Esau. You got Ada, Basemath, Anna, and then as we get to the third list, the descendants of Seir. Remember, Seir is the man who's running this land as Esau is coming in. Well, Esau's been given the same directive as Jacob, which was to clear those things out of the land. And instead he intermarried and bred in with them, took concubines, and then kicked him out of the land, which is a big no-no. You know, he did a big no-no in doing that. Let's look at Anna here, highlighted in blue. According to this translation, Anna found these hot springs while in the wilderness as he was taking out his donkey, which is utterly insane to put that in the Bible. As I said on my last Esau episode, the Bible does not have fluff. Let me show you how much translators are hiding. But on the other end of that statement, God does conceal things. I'll reference Proverbs 25, verse 2. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings is to search out a matter. And no better example of this is found in Scripture about the birth of Jesus Christ, the Lord, our Savior. God wrapped in flesh and concealed from the world, lying in a manger. Right, and that manger was the same one that was used for the Passover, unblemished. The place in the Bible stand for basically Rephaim, Anakim, Nephilim type characters. So let me show you a little peek at that. Jump over here to Deuteronomy 2. The Amims dwelt there in times past, a people great and many, and tall as the Anakims. And in Numbers 13:33, Anakims are directly related to Nephilim. It's our tie from pre-flood to post-flood. It's Numbers 13:33. And it says they were also accounted as giants like the Anakims, but the Moabites called them Amims. So they're saying they're the same thing. Okay, and tied right in there with them are the Horims, these Horites who live in the land of Seir, the Satyr, right before him, but the children of Esau succeeded them when they had destroyed them from before them. But we notice that that didn't happen 100%. Right, they ended up immediately interbreeding with them and then kicking some of them out of the land.
People ask me all the time, Chris, if you could only take one supplement for the...
A key point in this Esau episode is that Bible translators have seemingly made a pattern of purposely hiding references to giants and Nephilim for whatever reason, because it's popular consent, who knows. And you will also see at the second half of this long episode I'm making, where they also hid connections to Mount Hermon from us, tying in with this is Mr. Bela, son of Beor, first king of Esau. We're getting there. I thought you guys would be excited by this part as well. So first, I want you to check this out. So back to our verse, we have the Yamim, Strong's Concordance, interesting number, 3222, like skull and bones, 322, American Illuminati, right? So this is the word Yam, or Yamim, which isn't true because there's only, this is Y, and M usually stood for the plural, but either way, this is the first time that I've ever seen a word in Strong's Concordance be misspelled, or better yet, completely left out most of the word. But why? And what am I talking about? Okay, like I said here, ha, that means the, and this is a Y, that's an M, and that means eem, so YMM. So they took out a letter. I mean, you see how big that word is, and they took that out, and so you look, it's going to be the same word as C. But we're not necessarily talking about the C. We're talking about these entities that he went and found, the Amim, here in the desert or the wilderness. So like I was saying, this right here usually makes a word plural. That's what makes it like the Amims, the Anakims, right? The Horems. That's what makes a word plural. And it also means C. It's just strange that it seems like they've removed at least one Y, at least one letter for this, which makes it a little bit more difficult to follow through. Like I said, it has the number 322 in it, which is just the beginning. So what we're kind of starting to see here is it looks like it's the plural form of the sea. So it's like the Nephilim entity from the sea, right? Can you see what I'm saying here? It's a plural entity that's the same as the sea, okay? And it has connections to water. So let me show you something that's going to hopefully blow your mind. Daniel chapter 7. Let's read the word. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream down and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the four winds of heaven strove upon the great sea. And four great beasts came up from the sea, diverse from one another. Very interesting way to start off. What do we have here? We have four beasts coming out of the sea. So let's check out the Hebrew of it. Go here, word 3221, just what we're looking for, sea. So these entities, these eames, are coming out of the sea, and that's not all. They were hybrids, right? Let's pick it up and read on. Okay, let me compare first before we go. So we have the Emims, who have are like satyr-like appearances and satyr-like names, right? That are found in the land of the Horites, these cave dwellers, these satyrs with strange bloodlines, right? That have a mixture between, it seems like, Nephilim, which is fallen angels, and humans and animals. And that's what's the most common denominator I found with the Emims, is they have that beast-like quality to them. And just a few nights ago, I found this connection for Daniel, because the Emims are hybrids, and the word directly has been pointing them as to coming out of the sea. Here's our same word again, sea. They're the sea ones, right? The ones that come from the sea. You see what I'm getting at? I click on that, it gives me the sea again. These are the eames from the sea. These are the hybrids. So let's read. Verse 4, the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings. I beheld till the wings thereof were plucked, and it was lifted up from the earth, and made to stand upon the feet as a man, and a man's heart was given to it. And behold, another beast, a second, like to a bear, and it raised itself up, had 3 ribs in its mouth between the teeth, and said us to it, arise, devour much flesh. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, which had 4 wings of a fowl. The beast had 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So you see there's a weird Nephilim entities given power, right? And what are they given power over? They're given power over wicked people to bring the wicked punishment upon them, right? So verse 7, after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, the fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, strong exceedingly, iron teeth, devoured and broken pieces, stamped with residue with the feet. It was diverse from all the beasts. It had 10 horns. There behold a horn that came up from among them, a little horn, before whom 3 of the first horns were plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So these entities represent anti-God. They are anti-Christ. The great things he speaks about, this little horn, are horribly blasphemous things about God. They are obviously also hybrids that come out of the yam, right? Come out of the sea. They're coming out of the sea. And if you still don't believe that it's sea related, Hebrew is a much different type of language than English. And I'm going to show you how strongly the letter of M relates to water in the Hebrew language in such a cool way. As I get into these sources, remember, I never agree with the source fully. I'm going to the source for information that, fits with my biblical worldviews. And a lot of these sites, obviously, I've been popping into looking at the Hebrew, don't exactly agree with that. So I wouldn't go and look and try to learn about Jesus from people who deny Jesus, right? But we can find other cool things there. I'm going to show you some cool little side notes. If you want, go ahead and skip to the next section. This is in the Sephariah. This is stuff to do with more like Hebrew type stuff, rabbi type stuff. Like I said, I don't agree with everything they say, but also stuff to be beheld. So the point is, I'm showing you that the word like yamim, the ma'im, is highly related to water, showing these entities are coming out of the water. I'm just kind of developing this context of emim, these Nephilim entities. And so this letter M, the 13th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, is associated with water, well springs of water, immersion in water, mystical devotion, and Moses, whose name means drawn out of water, as he was by Pharaoh's daughter. In Gematria, the numerical value is 40. So M is connected to many foundational stories from the Torah, including the flood, because it rained for 40 days, the giving of the Torah. Moses went back and forth for 40 days at a time. There was 40 years of wandering in the desert. There was 40 days of Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. So most of these things are pointing to M being associated with water, leading to our entities coming from the water. So we go down here, we'll see something else that's really cool. And God said, let there be light. The word or, O-H-R, is the Hebrew word for light, and it's written 5 times in this section. And on the 4th day, the word Maor, so light plus the M, is written 5 times with the addition of the letter Mem to the word or, as we see. And there is an amazing intention and a connection. The light was created on the 1st day, was hidden, they say. And there is also an opinion that says these are the very luminaries that were created on the 1st day and were not hung up until the 4th day. And in their theory, they say that everyone admits that the light of the 1st day was a great light, and they're in Genesis 1, and was hidden, and that those luminaries that were hung on the 4th day are not the actual light of the 1st day, but rather they received their light from a spark of the upper light that was created on the 1st day. Therefore, the word or is mentioned, since it was the actual light itself, the source of the light. But the luminaries on the 4th day, each one is mentioned as M, or more, with the addition of that letter M to show that they received their light from another light greater than, which is what is shown by the letter M, which when it's in front of a prefix, it says it means from. So it's from that light. What it seems like they left out to me is that there was one obvious thing that separated the hidden or OHR light of day 1 from the visible Maor lights of day 4, and that is the firmament of day 2, which divided the waters above from the waters beneath. Waters, M, the lights of the waters of the firmament, right? That added the M to the mix. So it's just a cool thing. Here it also says like there's 2 ways to write the M. One way is open, one way is fully closed. And it says these two, one open, one closed, indicate the Torah contains an open statement understood by all, and an esoteric statement. At least once a month. And like I said, that'll be coming out on Friday. It's the same price as purchasing me a delicious pub sub. For the scripture does say, "You shall not muzzle an ox while it treads out the grain, and the laborer is worthy of his wages." My Patreon is primary to help support me to have the time from a constant work week to do these studies and create videos. Thank you. All right, so let's get back to the second portion of our study, to the fourth list. We've already went through the first three, and we're down to the fourth one, where we've already gone over that. We're studying to figure out who this first king of Esau is. Down here we have Jobab that we said.
Okay, anybody any questions so far? I'm gonna let a little more of it play, and then I'll give you the title of this video. You want to go and watch it for yourself. Anybody have any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay.
It was probably Job from the book of Job. And you see here that after he passes away, a gentleman from the land of the Temanites comes and reigns in his place. One thing about the kings of Edom is it seems that they were given kingship by election and not by lineage or bloodline. It wasn't a dynasty. So we look over here to the book of Job. Job's friend, right? Job's friend here, Eliphaz the Temanite. Okay, and when Job passed, a Temanite took his place. So it puts us in the right time period with the right people groups. And so it's a pretty cool little fun fact there. So what is the connection between Bela, the first king of Edom, Balaam, the prophet called to curse Israel, and Mount Hermon? Stick around, because I believe we've uncovered something that ties these figures together in ways you've never heard of before, and I couldn't find on the internet. So I want to let's take a moment, and I'm going to read back over this again. Bela, son of Beor, reigned in Edom. The name of his city was Dinhaba. When Bela died, Jobab took over. So, son of Beor. Take us to Numbers 22, verses 5, where we have another gentleman who is a son of Beor, like I told you, Mr. Balaam. So, since Balak, son of Zippor, was king of Moab at that time, he sent messengers to Balaam, son of Beor, at Pethor. Now, why did he do that? Because Israelites had just come into the land. This gentleman, Balak, had seen Israel absolutely just annihilate a 15-foot giant named Og in Sihon, who was maybe a little bit smaller, Amorites who were taller than normal people, probably all at least 6, 7, 8 foot tall, because they had been breeding with these entities and these Goliath of Gath type entities. And so Balak had seen Israel do major damage to people much more powerful than him. And so he's freaking out. And instead of praying to God to get correction, to get actual, righteous instruction, he calls up Mr. Balaam. So Balak sent messengers to Balaam, our son of Beor, at Pethor, which is by the Euphrates, in the land of his people. Behold, he said, a people has come out of Egypt, said Balak. They cover the face of the land and have settled next to me. And then what does Balak ask him to do? Please come and put a curse on them, because they are too mighty for me. Perhaps I may be able to defeat them and drive them out of the land. For I know that those you bless are blessed, and those you curse are cursed. Well, I don't know if you knew at this time that God himself had already blessed Abraham and said, those who bless Abraham's children are blessed, and those who curse Abraham's children are cursed. So he kind of got a little backwards. But either way. So anyway, so I opened, I'm looking to find, I knew this other son of Beor. I went here and found Balaam. And I kind of already knew that connection a little bit. But I started asking questions, and this opened up something crazy, and it leads to Mount Hermon. All right, so Numbers 22:5 here is the first mention of Balaam in the Bible, and it makes sense here. So because it's the first mention, it makes sense. They say, oh, who his daddy is. And when I'm reading this, the thought occurred to me, it might be important to know where Balaam comes from. If I'm trying to understand the first king of Edom, right, and he's a son of Beor, and I'm having difficulties finding any biblical connections to this gentleman, it might be helpful to figure out who he is by studying Balaam, who I can find a decent amount more information on. So basically, it'll let us know where our first chief or Duke of Edom comes from, to give us an understanding of who was ruling the land at that time, because Esau had just begun to move into that land not that long before then. This chief Bela was not of Esau's lineage. So let's focus closely on what it's actually saying. It's saying that Balaam was called out of his native land of Pethor, with most translations, as you see here, stating that Pethor was near the Euphrates River. Well, that started to seem a little odd to me. You know, this is back in the day. You know, he's saying the Euphrates River. I mean, I don't even know if this is, I made this like the shortest possible place to be something considered Mesopotamia, or the Euphrates River. And it starts to point out signs that this is not where Balaam was from. It just seems odd to fetch a man to perform a curse from about 700 kilometers away. 1,400 kilometers round trip seems like a lot of work. You see that walking time? I don't think that's a return journey. You're telling me 300 hours of walking to go and get this guy to curse this enemy when Balak has seen Israel just come and destroy things. He's got time to wait weeks to go and hope that Balaam is home when he knocks on the door, 700 walking or donkey miles away. That just seems like a lot to ask, especially when you're staring down an enemy who just destroyed a 15 to 17 foot tall Rephaim giant named Og and his buddy Sihon. It just doesn't click for me. So I don't believe that he came from Mesopotamia. And this is like me giving him like benefit of the doubt. 157, I mean, and then so the spot they're talking about coming from is basically across from Jericho. So I just put Jericho in to make that easy. There's no way, absolutely no way. And outside that, once you start diving in, it's basically making it seem as if the area has to tie into Mesopotamia somehow. And if that's true, you know, this is Mesopotamia, the land between the two rivers. I mean, this can barely be considered Mesopotamia. It's just insane. Tigris, or Euphrates, the Tigris. Mesopotamia means between. Pota means the rivers, between two rivers. It seems weird. You know, let's investigate it. And this is where Mount Hermon starts to come into play. Yeah, Mount Hermon, that mountain in Enoch, where the angels came down and had children, the Nephilim giants and Rephaim. Mount Hermon, where all of the Rephaim giant had just ruled from as a chief Rephaim and died in the lands in the near south. The same place mentioned in Jude, or as a byproduct of Jude in 2 Peter chapter 2. Something here is really telling me that Balaam, a man able to use ritual to communicate directly with our God, that something strange is going on here. So to help you and to help me kind of be able to relay this information, I'm going to show the conversation that I had with AI here. So I asked it, what land did they call Balaam out of? It says Balaam was called out of Pethor, like it says, described as being by the river. In the biblical text, specifically, this refers to the Euphrates River, placing Pethor in the region of Mesopotamia. And we looked and saw how long of a trip that would actually be. Okay, it recites the verse, and it says that it's believed to have been located in what is modern-day North Syria or southern Turkey, near the upper regions of the Euphrates. This location suggests that Balaam was from a land far to the north of Moab, where King Balak ruled, reinforcing his status as a non-Israelite prophet. The only problem is, once you start looking at the actual words, it says he came from the land of Aram. Maybe when Abraham came, the land of Aram was up there, but by that time, Assyria and Sumer and Babylon had completely overtaken that upper northern area, and Aram was basically Aram Damascus, and we'll get into that here shortly. And I asked it, the AI, I said, couldn't Pethor be theoretically found near the Jordan River and Mount Hermon, according to the biblical parameters? So I'm giving the AI parameters, like, according to what the Bible says, can't these be answers? You know, and, you know, definitely notice previously how strongly AI suggests that it's in the Euphrates. It's acting like it absolutely knows beyond a reasonable doubt, like it's going to convict someone, you know, in a trial, like it actually knows for a fact. Easy peasy, right? And that's not the case. Well, let's go ahead and look at the actual Hebrew here. Here's our numbers, okay? At Pethor, which is near, remember how it says near the Euphrates? What's it telling me here? It's near the river in the land, Oresh, Beneh, son of his people, yep. Okay, so there's nothing in there about the Euphrates. So they must know some other source in the Bible that he comes from the Euphrates. Let's go ahead and check out Pethor, right? So, like, is this city, do they know that this city is near the Euphrates? So here's Pethor, the strong 6604, where we just saw in Numbers 22:5. Let's check out the usage of it. And the only other place it's found, how are they saying it's from Mesopotamia? There's no archaeological evidence. They have nothing that actually ties it to. It must be Deuteronomy 23, right? We pop up in Deuteronomy 23. They're talking about, I forget which group, because when you came out of Egypt, the Moabites. God's saying to go ahead and judge the Moabites because of what they did to them. They hired Balaam, son of Beor, from Pethor of Mesopotamia. And this verse either shows absolute ignorance or purposeful hidden information. Why on God's green earth did they change Aram, which is the name of a nation, into Why are they saying as an absolute beyond reasonable doubt that Pethor is at Mesopotamia? When I tell you I've been searching, and I could do about 2 hours of my search on what I did, I can't find any evidence that it's in Mesopotamia. And at this period of time, the 1400s, go ahead and tell me, you know, in the 1400s BC, in this time period, go ahead and show me who is running that place, that land up there. You're going to tell me Assyria and Babylon were allowing Aram to hold a piece of land? I don't think that was the case. Do you remember hearing about the great wars between Aram and Babylon, or Aram and Assyria, where Aram conquered the land over those kings? Negative. Did the Canaanites and Babylonians, the Greeks and Assyrians and Egyptians ever care about the lots that were drawn by Noah? No, none of them did. You know, they just went straight into warfare. And even a simple trip over here to Wikipedia will tell us that parts of Syria, which is, so there's Asher, is the Assyrians, and his brother, both of them being sons of Shem. Shem had Asher, the Assyrians. Shem had Aram, the Syrians, right? And so parts of Syria were controlled by the Neo-Sumerian Empire, Old Assyrian Empire, Babylonian Empire, between the 22nd and the 18th century BCE. This is going to be the time period of Abraham, about walking through the land. The region was fought over in the 15th and 13th centuries by the rival empires of Hittites, Egyptians, Assyrians, Mitannis. The Middle Assyrian Empire eventually left controlling Syria. And so, you know, here's really close to our time period. And so they had been pushed down. And so all the maps that I'll show you a little later on have Aram as Mount Hermon. That southern Aram is Mount Hermon, Damascus. So let's do something different. Let's go ahead and copy that. All right, we'll paste it into Google. Here it is right here. Go ahead and look, it's the same. Okay, and it gives us Aram, a region. Gives us a map. Where does it show Kingdom of Aram, Damascus? You know what's right up in here? That's Mount Hermon. Is it possible that they're trying to, just like they're hiding the Amims, just like they hide the Nephilims, that they're trying to hide the fact that Balaam probably came from the Mount Hermon area? And let's keep diving on it. We can pop over here and go to Bible Atlas, a really great website. And see, here's Aram. You see the line stops? Kind of cut off.
You know, this.
Okay. So you want to watch all of that? It's First Kings. Name of the video is First King of Esau connection. Excuse me. Connection about Herman. Then it says never seen before, and Balaam the false prophet is his brother. So if you want to check that out, and it's on the channel is Life, Travel, and the Word. I thought it was pretty interesting. That's the reason why I was playing the video. We found out also that when Nimrod was traveling eastward, we came to a plain in the land of Shinar. That Shinar is Mount Hermon. So they're hiding all this here. Like I said, they took even Genesis 6, they hiding it. Because what it is when you start dealing with those things, it kills the New Testament. So they're trying to cover it over and hide it and made it the events and things that was happening in the Old Testament, make them more, smooth them out, so you can lead you right to JC in the New Testament. You want to actually know what was actually going on during those times. Okay. Anybody have any questions or comments before we go? So like I said before, we'll be on Israel Wake Up on Sunday at 5. It's Israelite Women's Bible class. And we're gonna see how it go. Then we'll take it from there. So you have the time to check it out. Then you can check it out. Come with some questions that enhance the Bible study or the class. So with that being said, I want to say shalom, everybody. Okay, and I'll see you for tomorrow.
I was told by my urologist to throw away all.
Okay. So like I said before, shalom, and another shalom. See y'all tomorrow.
Shalom, shalom, everyone.
Shalom. Shalom, everyone.